at which phase of development the current project is. Is it at ideation? Is it an existent Web3 project that we would want to onboard to NEAR? So these are all specific parameters that we look at. I mean, in the case of Blocksquare, for example, and I think that I mentioned that in our previous talk with Dennis. It was basically when we did our research, we were basically focused first on prominent projects within the region and the scope of our operations. So Denis being in Slovenia was a target project, but also it's because it's one of the earliest Web3 projects that have been in this region. And even though Blocksquare was initially building on Ethereum, we thought that it would be quite a nice fit to onboard them, actually to NEAR in that sense.
Perfect. Sally, I'll pass to Dennis now to understand more about, Dennis, yeah. we always say that we've chosen Ethereum, although probably it's slower, slightly higher cost. However, we chose
more expensive, yeah.
We chose something that's very well tested and tried over any other protocol. And then came a partnership with NEAR. Now, obviously, yes, we know the direction that we have. We want to get to everyone, everywhere, and we ultimately want to be the most efficient way to transmit value, or we want the setup that we have, the infrastructure that we provide people, to be the best funnel to transmit value from the asset itself to the investor or to the homeowner. And we do real estate. Tell me more, why did we choose NEAR? And what does this mean to us today in the future? And how do you see that developing beyond today?
Well, yeah, if we talk about Ethereum, I think that it chose us in a way because it was the only fabric that was out there. It was the only layer 1. There was no L2s actually at the time. It was the only thing that was available to develop such a system as the one that we have today. So that's basically where we started. There was no choice, right? But thankfully, it was not a bad choice, honestly. It was a good choice because it's still the leading blockchain on the market. However, you always try to find alternatives around you, right? And you try to see what's happening on other blockchains, right? And a lot of blockchains are based off of Ethereum, and they're some kind of dependency on Ethereum. While NEAR doesn't have any dependency on Ethereum. So, we're always talking about bringing real estate value, which is a very traditional asset, onto blockchain, right? And now, let's say that things go south with Ethereum. You need to have a solid hedge, but you can't hedge on an L2 because it's going to depend on Ethereum. You can't hedge on another EVM compatible chain because it's the same concept, just a bit different, right? It's like there's these are experiments on consensus mechanism. That's all, right? While NEAR is not an experiment on consensus mechanism, it's a new system. It's a parallel system, competitive system that will have its own kind of route of adoption. And I believe that's going to go into certain use cases that perhaps Ethereum is never going to reach because it has a different approach. It has a different timing of entering the market as well. So the understanding of blockchain technology on different verticals, between different parties, corporates, if you will, institutions, is totally different. So that ecosystem is going to evolve in a different manner. Here we see the value of going into the route of developing a NEAR as being, in a way, an alternative for our clients. Because in the end, we're a solution infrastructure provider. We've come with a recipe of tokenizing real estate, and we're making it affordable to use and reuse that recipe in a simple way, right? And you can have that recipe on Ethereum, or you can have it on any other chain as well. And we're just here we're finding a way to have that recipe available on NEAR as well.
Perfect. Rahela,
and if I may
ahead,
add, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Makram. But when it comes to also, I mean, I would just add on, I mean, more benefits for NEAR, for having Blocksquare. I mean, for example, aside of it being having a different consensus mechanism and using it as a hedge, but it's also quite scalable when it comes to supporting large numbers of transactions per second. And the gas fees, of course, now with the current market conditions, I assume even at the moment gas fees for Ethereum are quite low. But if we compare them to the peaks of the market, having these low gas fees on NEAR, specifically with when you would want to tokenize and transfer these assets, would be quite beneficial. And also the user friendliness that comes with NEAR, with the current simple and intuitive interface. It's I believe it's the closest thing to Web2 interfaces at the moment. And with the business model that you guys have, I assume user friendliness is important and vital for mass adoption. So this is also one benefit that NEAR offers, for example, and Ethereum at the moment does not.
Perfect. Actually, you've touched on a few things here that I want to talk about. Let me start with Rahela, but feel free, please, to juggle it around between you and Sally the way you feel. I'll dump it all with you, Rahela, and then you take it forward from there. So the first thing is, yes, Ethereum started before anyone else probably started of the current players, and started before NEAR. However, I'm sure that within your plan, you want to become the most prominent. And when you talk, when you say we're developer friendly, that's major, because it means that developers will enjoy more to use your protocol to develop. That's one. Two, when you say that we are the nearest thing to Web2, it means you're targeting not only mass adoption, but also mass adoption and scalability to sectors and to sections of the consumer base and to the business base that does not usually talk Web3 and does not usually talk distributed ledger technology and blockchain. So obviously, those are two things that you definitely would look at. So I want to start by understanding more, what's your plan? Where are you going? And then this is something probably that both of you interact with. How are you doing that? How are you getting? So maybe Rahela is more the marketing side, so you talk more to the end result, the consumer, but also I'm sure you have within your approach, Sally, adoption is a major part, and choosing the right partners contributes to that, because at the end of the day, every time you choose a partner, you're joining hands on a collaborative community between NEAR's community and the partners community, as well as it completes your ecosystem and your project offerings in a way or another. So I know that I've thrown two big parts of questions. However, I'm sure that Rahela would be able to start with that.
Yes, of course. I mean, for sure, the model is B2B2C, because first of all, we want to build great partnerships and onboard projects to build on NEAR, but at the end of the day, to give the value to the end consumer. So for sure, our focus, I mean, we cannot reveal the whole plan and the whole roadmap, which is in front of us, but bits and pieces for sure. The idea is to also, among other things, to work with mainstream companies, to sectors such as media companies, the telco industry, and even large enterprises. So that have large, even internal employee bases, but also a huge customer bases. So that's one of the routes we're taking. by providing a great, from our side, partnership in a way that we provide full service. Okay, you have never touched upon Web3 component, never been involved with blockchain. We're here to help you. We're here to guide you, basically to consult you and provide, from the technical side support, but also from the marketing side and all of that, how to engage the community and give this know-how. And then of course the to actually put it on the market. I don't know, maybe I lost the train of thoughts, but the idea is, to give this full scope of services.
Can I throw a question here, which is very intriguing to me to know more about and understand? Today, when you say that we want to reach everyone, as well as enterprises. So is your target, for example, I'm sure we've all heard about the 4 or 5 of the biggest finance institutions in the US recently join hands and decide to tackle or act on a blockchain initiative. Is your target to become the chosen protocol for similar initiatives, for institutions to use you? Is that part of your plan, or is that part of the direction that you take when you do on your business planning?
Well, yes, for sure. I mean, wherever it's applicable and wherever we can provide a solution and infrastructure to solve, something that indeed blockchain can make more, transparent or, innovative, that for sure these would also be targets for doing the partnerships. So absolutely, that's the specifics. We really talk and speak to a very diverse range of audiences. Like you mentioned, we speak to developers, we speak to Web2 companies, we speak to startups that wanna go fully Web3. That maybe startups that started with their business model in Web2, then want to switch and then want to integrate something. So also stakeholders, opinion makers. So it's a big variety of people that we talk to, and that we can provide different tailor-made solutions. That's kind of the idea, because there's no one size fits all. Each partnership is different, special, and we kind of always want to take this approach. Okay, how can our solution fit you, your business model, and the end user of that service?
I want to come back to you and talk about the community development. What do you do on that edge, and what advice would you have? Because I'm sure that's part of what you're specialist in. What advice would you have for projects that are trying to build and develop healthy communities? Sally, I will go to you for a second. And here the question is, again, the same concept. You have started tackling a part of the market by saying that we are the better solution from a user friendliness, from a speed, cost, in other words, efficiency, as well as, and you mentioned something which is key, we're the nearest thing to Web2 possible. In other words, you are targeting all of the consumers that today are not so informed and are not so, which is most of the world. At the end of the day, the part of the world that is currently Web3 and happy. And I would say I am more a Web2 guy than a Web3 guy. I'm not wired to tackle technology and talk technology the way probably that my son would. So when you started, I'm sure you faced challenges developing and entering the market and collecting partnerships and growing them. And I'm sure that some of those challenges you've won over. Some of those challenges are still pending to be complete. Can you tell us, please, about some of the challenges that you've already conquered and some of the challenges that are still pending to be complete, and how are you tackling them?
For sure. I would just bring it also one step backwards and tell you about the entire, how NEAR is actually leading by example when it comes to decentralization with the creation of these different regional hubs. Because as Rahela mentioned, there's no one size that fits all. And the whole point of these regional hubs is to get people from the region, a prominent team within the region of operations to actually introduce NEAR as a blockchain, as with the mission, the basic foundations and principles to the audience of this region, because the locals do understand. They have a better value proposition. They understand what the locals would accept and how they would actually introduce it and accept it. And if it's coming from someone, it's basically from the people to the people in that sense, because it's coming from people that understand the local mentality and the local markets. And this is what is nice and what is actually effective with this approach, and we have seen it actually becoming a trend among other protocols too that are going for these the hub creations, the regional hub creations. When it comes to the challenges that we face, I assume these are not the real NEAR related challenges. These are more, let's call them Web3 related challenges. Because, for example, when it comes to the regular average Joe, let's call him, when they hear of cryptocurrencies, they see it in a speculative way, and this is why there's currently, for example, the transactions, like when it comes to transactions on the on exchanges, why they have decreased significantly at the moment, because we're in a bear market. There's no hype anymore, and this is the general public mainly still regards crypto projects as from a speculative way. They do not see yet the utility behind blockchain, and this is where we come and play, because besides tackling these, besides doing these partnerships with different stakeholders, be it Web2 companies, existent Web3 companies, or startups, we also have been heavily focusing on raising awareness within the region, and through promoting specific educational programs, be it for developers or for the mass audience. We have actually, Rahela, I think we've so far certified more than 200 developers in the region with the Intro to NEAR 101 certificates. And what is also interesting about NEAR, with the entire approach, they released recently, and by recently I mean like a few months ago, so it's not very recently, the Node.js software development kit for developers, and this is the most common language for among developers, and by developers we do not mean only blockchain developers, but we mean also Web2 developers. And this is a way of actually onboarding them to make them start developing on NEAR, because NEAR is usually built in Rust, but we're using the Node.js SDK. Any developer at this point can start developing on NEAR, and this is why this is quite and this is why we aim to be more not only user friendly but also developer friendly, and this is how we can drive a faster adoption in that sense.
Thank you so much, Denis. Before I go to Rahela and or Rahela, because I heard Sally mentioning her name twice.
Rahela, yeah, Rahela.
Rahela. Okay,
Rahela.
So you mentioned it. You pronounce it K rather than H, yeah? Before I go to Rahela, I want to ask you about how do you see adoption from a Blocksquare point of view in the future? Do you see that partners will be will be approaching us and saying that we want to be on NEAR, or no, you don't see that this may make a difference to clients and partners in the future?
I think choice is always something good. People need to have a choice, and if we are able to offer that choice, I think it's going to definitely improve our ability to deliver our tech to real estate companies. And it really depends then how things evolve. But in general, I see that with cost of operating, right, there comes also certain problems of using a technology, right? Because you might have a marketplace operator for us that sees a challenge in onboarding their clients onto Ethereum because, I don't know, it represents additional costs for them, and they would rather have a more affordable option, for instance, in terms of...
So let me ask you a question in a different way then. Let's say in the coming market growth cycle, do you see that, especially with more adoption and probably with smaller ticket sized properties jumping on from countries where they have smaller ticket properties, thus the price of the token will be smaller? Do you see at that point of time that there will be marketplaces that say we want to run on this ecosystem?
Yeah, I think that is exactly what happens, right? Right now, if you have a marketplace operator in London, they don't mind spending, a couple $100 worth of ETH to deploy a contract, edit it, etc. Or even in the process of tokenizing a property, what is a couple of thousand expenditure, right? It's not a big deal. Also, in terms of secondary markets, if you have people transacting, and if the transaction costs, I don't know, I'll round it up, $5. If they're transacting 1,000 or 10,000 worth of tokens, it's not a big deal. However, when we go into smaller assets or in regions where $5 is a daily paycheck, that becomes a no-go totally, right? So there you can't really use Ethereum anymore because nobody will use it. So you can't really operate a marketplace in that type of market. I mean, you can solve this transaction cost by not using Web3, but we see how that goes. And I think the trend will be self-custody still. It will be actually using blockchain, making transactions through smart contracts, mitigating counterparty risk, having the whole accounting done on-chain. Proof of funds is not anymore important because it's self-audited by the community all the time. And we have blockchain for that, right? So I think, let's say we go and have a partnership in India, a marketplace operator in India who is targeting the average population. We can't really use Ethereum anymore, not at the current state.
Cool. Rahela.
And Dennis, sorry, Makram again. So aside from the only one-time transactions, I think that the argument can be also valid for when it comes to recurring, like the recurring revenue model. If you're going to tokenize assets for rental returns or whatever, because
rental distribution, in other words, you're talking about rental distribution, and that's key.
When you're on a cheaper network when it comes to these recurring transactions, because if it's only one time, you're doing it on Ethereum, you're selling a property or listing a property, it's okay. I mean, if you pay this extra 1,000 or whatever, but when you're doing it like every month and you're recurring these extra costs, it becomes some kind of a burden.
You're right, especially when it comes to these penny transactions. We're not penny, but we're not talking about revenues for a party of, I don't know, $1,000 or $500, right? in that case, so how we've developed the revenue distribution model on Ethereum is that there's a vault contract or a contract that holds all the funds, and the end users can claim whenever they want. So basically what it does is you might have revenues from multiple properties in your portfolio, and it all accrues there, and you can withdraw with one go, right? But going into a market where somebody might invest $100 and get $3 per year out of it, that doesn't work anymore. It doesn't make sense. It works, but it doesn't make sense, right? From a financial
100%, because when we talk scalability and we talk use cases in general, maybe in the future annuities will run on blockchain, and then you really have those very penny distributions that you mentioned. And yes, there will be hundreds of thousands of them, but they will be penny distributions. And unless you have something that's very efficient, very fast, secure, and you're able to do it, you are challenged right there. Yeah. And this, Rahela, affects the community big time. When you're developing your community, how do you do that? And that's probably also advice that we will capture from you, and everyone who's trying to develop a community today can benefit from and can learn from. Please.
Yes, well, I think that it's a specific task, and as we've seen so far, the community is a very special part of marketing, and it's kind of a live organism because it's the people. And I would say that it's different. It's great to hear advice from here and there in general, but it's very important to have in mind who is your community, because it's not the same if you are a specific NFT marketplace or a dev tooling platform, or if you are a blockchain, for example, as we are presenting, the whole protocol and covering our region, because you can have a more niche community or you can have a wide community. As I mentioned earlier, we, for example, have a wide community, and we talk to different types of people. So we need to tailor our messages and provide value for each of them. And I think that for the community, what's important is to give opportunities, to show them that we're here, especially in our case, since we are a regional hub, like Sally also mentioned earlier, it's important to show the people that we're here in the neighborhood. It's not like a big, abstract term and a protocol which is untouchable. We're here. We're just people behind it. So I think it's very important to give opportunities in terms of providing knowledge, providing a place to interact, a place where people can meet. I mean, that's kind of the whole point.
So in a way or another, being local, as you mentioned, yeah. So talking to the community regionally and locally, rather than trying to tackle a community globally as one, because yes, they may have different challenges, they may be looking for different things, and they may be looking at different opportunities in a different way.
Yeah. I mean, the grand vision we share is the same, but when we're talking about the actions on the market, we do tailor our approach, and that's what we want to do. And we want to provide knowledge, and we want to provide a place to exchange ideas. And what I think it's very important, even though in the Web3 space, a lot of people are behind avatars, behind cool profile pictures. At the end of the day, people like to see people because it's credible, and they want to know who is behind the project, who is behind a company. So it's important for us to also show the team, to show our faces, and to at the end of the day, to meet people live also. We also had quite a lot of live meetups that we organized within the whole region, and when they talk to you, when they get a feeling, oh my god, I can really get to someone who is from a protocol, a project or something, and talk to them face to face, that's really, really valuable for the community.
Cool. Sally, what's the opportunity that you are currently tackling as first as NEAR organization, and in Balkans? What is the opportunity that you are now going head on?
I mean, when it comes to the Balkans, there's a lot of opportunities. I think that Denis can also confirm that. We have a lot of, resources when it comes to, we have a lot of developer resources, for example. One of the best developer communities are actually within the Balkans. We also have we have a lot of interesting projects because these developers are actually working, and we have a lot of nice ideas coming out. And usually these projects just need a little push. They need a little assistance, be it directional, be it financial. And yeah, so I think that there's a lot of potential in the Balkans. This is why also, just to validate this claim, this is why over the past year, let's say, a lot of protocols have been targeting the Balkans region very, very actively. And
what kind of push do you give? Can you give us more details, please? Not only in the Balkans, globally, as an organization.
What kind of push?
So you mentioned it may be directional. It may be probably funding.
Financial.
What kind of interaction do you do there?
The first and I think the most important thing, it's also what Rahela mentioned, is it's this direct human interaction that, for example, is lacking when it comes to different protocols. We have doxed ourselves, so we have this accessibility when it comes to projects that would want to build on NEAR. We also have great developer support, be it from NEAR foundations or from the different regional hubs. We provide financial assistance to projects that would want to either build on NEAR or would want to integrate with NEAR. Blocksquare is a perfect example, being one of our grantees. We also do, we provide projects with exposure just by showcasing these products, be it on our socials, but also in different events and parts that we take part in. For example, conferences where we showcase what our partners have developed. It's also because being a regional hub, we are connected to all the different ecosystem players within the NEAR. So, for example, if there is a project that Blocksquare are still in development, but hopefully when the project goes on mainnet, we do actually connections internally within the NEAR ecosystem. We have we have awesomenear.com, which is a nice website that exhibits all the projects that are currently developing and launching on NEAR. And we do these internal connections. So if we see an opportunity for different projects to collaborate between each other, we do these intros, these connections, because internally, behind the scenes, we are working on the ecosystem to grow simultaneously, basically.
Perfect. Denis, you were looking at and shaking your head on connections and interaction between projects. So what do you see? Let's say today, the kind of projects that is existing on NEAR. What do you feel, for example, as a company, we can integrate or we can collaborate with projects? How and what benefit to us would that be?
Well, one of the things, of course, is we are approaching NEAR through a grant, so we have certain obligations through that grant. One of those obligations, for instance, is potentially providing liquidity on a DEX on NEAR. And I think one of the things that we kind of expect once we are in that phase of doing that is that, our hub, our regional hub here, will be able to connect us with the right people on the side of that project, which is something that usually doesn't happen when it comes to the Ethereum ecosystem, because you reach out to somebody, but do you get in touch with them or not? Like the positive for instance, when we reached out to the Graph, and we also received a grant from the Graph Foundation to support our development of the subgraphs. And we pointed out a problem that I think was kind of solved through that, or not solved, but addressed at that moment, which was, a project doesn't know how much this is going to cost in terms of running that subgraph, because you need to pay for query fees, right, for the application and whoever is querying that subgraph, for instance. And that connection that we had with them, it's still present today, just the last block chat. And I think this is something that kind of relationship, the human interaction, is very important when you come, especially, we're all online somewhere, right, all the time. But this human interaction is something that kind of can help you out, make it or break it in the end, because of the introductions that one might do as well. Once we are further on down the road, I believe there's additional support that can come from the ecosystem of NEAR in terms of, we've delivered this MVP, we see some traction on it, is there additional direction towards NEAR that we can go with? Do we have investors that can support that transition? Expanding our team to have an internal team that is able to develop on NEAR more complexity in terms of product and infrastructure. And I think this is something that the regional hubs and the NEAR ecosystem can actually kind of introduce you to and kind of open up for you, which is otherwise, you're on your own in a way. Here, at least.
It's very important to have a people's organization, yeah? People's organization where, yes, you can talk to people, you can develop with them, and you can understand their challenges and they can understand yours. And similar to what you've mentioned with the graph, what was the solution probably at that time? They came up with the module that tells projects how much would it cost them probably, is it?
They even simplified it. Nobody knew that there's a grant, or not nobody knew, but you needed to be part of the ecosystem to understand that they have a grant program, but you didn't know that it might support startups to start using their tech. You thought that this grant program is just to, develop something new, right? Or add functionality to the graph. However, they used it to basically give you a freemium in a way initially, where you're able to pay for credits because they didn't have at the time any module where you could assess the costs. So it was easier for them to just support you. Look, don't worry, your subgraph is going to be indexed. We're going to make sure of it. What else? You will be able to pay for it. It's like using AWS. They give you free credits, so you can use AWS for 2 years as a startup company, and then you start paying for that service, of course, in time. But it's much easier to onboard because you don't know really how to assess, because you don't know what type of usage you will have. And so in this way, you're able to assess that usage. And if you're a large organization that can support those kind of initial connections, it's kind of like our partnership under special terms that we open up every once in a while. And we'll be announcing something soon.
Strategic partnership, huh?
Exactly. And which is our way where we welcome a startup company that has a superior team, that has an edge to access the market in terms of real estate, etc. And what we're able to do is say, you know what, we're going to carry the burden of the costs that come of deploying the marketplace under special terms and conditions that create a more a certain different type of partnership there, and certain obligations that are actually beneficial for our partner. And this way we can incentivize certain projects to work with us, right?
Rahela, how fast are you growing?
How fast are we growing as a hub or as the protocol?
As a hub. And then we'll compare it with the global, yeah.
Well, okay, so we're young. I mean, the whole system is young also, but we've been live for 8 and something months, so we still consider ourselves young. Nevertheless, in the first 6 months, we really, fired on all engines and, really tried to bring the awareness in the region about us. So we, like Sally mentioned, certified over 200 developers, and we attended many, many conferences. We organized so many of our own meetups with, almost 700 attendees in total. Had many community sessions, and now we have combined around 4,000 people in our online communities and social platforms. So if you think about it, for 6 months, I think we pretty kind of pumped it up. In terms of future growth, we want to, of course, do it exponentially, and within the next 6 months or a year to multiple growth. Also super important, the partnerships and the grantees. I think we had around 16, if not mistaking, closed partnerships. So over $800,000 were given in grants. So yeah, I mean, I think it's good speed considering the market, considering the year. We have to take this into consideration, that we're facing. We launched this year, and we are all witnesses of the current state. So but we're optimistic, and we're building. That's the idea, and yeah, we're not
We've grown
gonna
this
stop.
much in the winter, then spring is coming. So it will be it will be a tough winter, but I'm sure spring is coming. You're working remotely, ladies,
Yeah.
as most of your team.
Yeah.
Yeah. How difficult or how good or how easy is it to work remotely?
I mean, it does
So,
it does has its challenges. Rahela's at the moment in Zagreb, Croatia. I'm in Sofia, Bulgaria, at the moment. But we try to meet physically as much as possible.
How weird
We
is that, by the way? First time you meet someone that you know on virtual and you worked with virtually. How weird is that?
Yeah, it is quite weird. I mean, it's not weird because I mean we talk on a daily basis. So
yeah.
it's so we do. I mean, it's not just work. We do. I mean, the interaction goes beyond the work. But it's always nice when we the first meeting, and we actually with Rahela we started working probably 4 months in, and then we met actually in Lisbon for NearCon for the first time. But it was natural when you build this bond with someone on camera on a daily basis. It comes more naturally.
We
It
have
wasn't,
similar stories
unfortunately,
here.
for Dennis and myself. It was so weird. Probably it's the nature of who we are then, maybe. I thought, Dennis, that it's a universal thing. It seems it's not.
Yeah.
But we were working for longer than 4 months over
it's
video. What was it, like a year and a half?
unfortunately for us.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Ladies, how do people, projects, and startups get in touch with you? What's the best way to do so?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, Rahela, you can take that.
Just a short comment. I mean,
Yeah.
we always try to like I mentioned before, to push it in our community that they can always talk to us, and to give their information, and give the opportunity to present their projects, present their startup, and we will get back to them. But also, the conferences are attendance there, and was really fruitful in terms of these connections. But Sally, yeah, please do take it over.
I mean, yeah, when it comes to contacting us, we're open. We're quite communicative when it comes to people, projects targeting us either on LinkedIn, on our social channels, even Instagram, and on our Discord and Telegram channels. So it's if it's someone from our some admin, or he usually, when it's for example BD related, they forward the inquiries, the questions to me. When it's marketing related, they do that to Rahela, and consequently to different departments as well.
Members of the team. Perfect.
Yeah.
Dennis, do you have any questions for Sally and Rahela?
Nothing right now. I know that we are wrapping up because we try to be under, if possible, around an hour, or this. Actually, usually block chats are shorter. This time we made it longer because it was a very interesting discussion. I think if there's any, I would say, founders around listening in, they will probably, that are contemplating on which fabric to choose for developing their Web3 project on. I guess you are very open of being able to provide further information when they're doing their kind of when they're in that discovery phase, because I guess you know, when somebody is starting a new project and they say, hey, we need to choose a blockchain to work on, that's decision number one, right, that you need to do if you're going into Web3. And there's a couple of reasons why people would choose something over something else. Either they're familiar because they worked on another project before, and that's, you know, something that we work with before, or they are assembling a team. Because maybe they, you know, there's two founders, maybe a CTO and somebody else, but they need to build a team. And that's usually very challenging when it comes to tech. Are you able to, you know, you mentioned you certified 200 developers in the recent 8 months, which means you have a huge community of people that can potentially start working on a new idea, a new concept.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to what we're doing, and I usually say it to all our potential candidates, and I think I even mentioned that to you in one of our early talks. It's beyond the financial assistance, because, for example, this first initial assistance can be somehow limited, but beyond that, we do focus on the customer experience, and that is we provide technical assistance, be it development-wise or just guidance. But we also do marketing assistance. We help with go-to-market strategies. We follow up from A to Z when it comes to the project, and this is something that you also noted in this conversation when it comes to as opposed to Ethereum, for example. I'm not targeting specifically Ethereum, but just because we brought it up in the conversation. When it comes to Ethereum, if you're building on Ethereum, you do not really get this support from the Ethereum Foundation team. When it comes to building on from us, you can actually expect this support, be it technical, be it afterwards with go-to-market strategies, with the business model, or whatever that might come actually along the way.
So today,
and this is our value proposition. Yeah.
Whenever someone wants to develop a business, they need partners. So every single piece should fall in its place. And the main important, if I want to say, specification of a partner should be collaboration. How collaborative a partner is, how interested is he, invested in your success. And if a partner is ready to put time, effort, and knowledge into your business, it means you both have a much better chance of succeeding together. I believe this is what Rahela and Sally have been advocating for today. We advocate for the same. We always say that at Blocksquare, it's not only the tech, because there's plenty of tech around. Yeah, there's plenty of blockchains around, and there's plenty of people tokenizing real estate around, and plenty of tech doing that. However, it's way beyond the tech, and we feel it and we hear it. Denis had a conversation with a party trying to get a marketplace or into a marketplace, which currently uses other tech. It's not like they don't have. They're trying to move. Why would someone move tech? Not only because of the ease of use and the technology behind it, but also the people behind it. Are they able to talk to the people behind that? Because at the end of the day, whom you're all targeting is a consumer, and the consumer is a human being. It's unfortunate for everyone who doesn't want to understand that. The consumer is a human being. It's fortunate for everyone who feels it, because a human being, and with a human being, it matters to talk the same language. And by the same language, I don't mean English or any other kind of language. I mean talking the same human language. Ladies, do you have anything, any other message or anything you want to say today?
Yeah, I mean, just thank you.
Yeah,
go ahead, Sally.
No.
Just wanted to say thank you for inviting us to your chat, and we're really looking forward to the further collaboration. We're already in talks about multiple future activities and collabs, and so just wanted to say that.
Thank you so much, Rahela. Thank you for being with us. Sally?
I mean, from my side, I would say also thank you guys for having us on this platform. I personally am looking forward to finalizing the Blocksquare integration to see where this leads us. And also, I would say to everyone, to your community, to our community, to keep building, because these are the times, like the perfect times for building. So whoever is building, to keep on doing that, and if they do need any assistance, do not hesitate to contact us, basically.
Thank you, Sally. Denis, do you have any last words, final word?
Well, on the related thought of Sally, and bear markets are awesome. We've done one. This is the second one, and we'll probably do the third one as well. And it's a long-term journey for us. And we're one of the first players in tokenization, not in the region just, but I think worldwide. And we want to keep being on the front of this new emerging market. So yeah, that's
so
it.
Cheers to every winter that has passed and every winter that is coming, and the winter that we're living in. Actually, winter is a perfect time for Christmas, isn't it? So I see behind Sally here, exactly. Yeah, all Christmas there. Keep living, keep building. Ladies, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for the NEAR organization. Thank you for the Balkan team. And Denis, good seeing you again.
Same.
Until the next one, thank you all, members of our community, members of NEAR's community and beyond. I hope that we've added value today, and see you next time. Ciao.
Thank you so much.